Okay. I don't understand this. How can a demonic bloodline have so, divine spells? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess I can understand the intimidation part. Anyway, hello everyone. I'm Plasma Warriors. May like to call me that guy with the afro. Well, here we are. A quick little rundown of Pathfinder Second Edition that I can give you. I haven't been able to read through all of this, but then again, it's literally 600 plus pages of information. Um, so far, what I've been able to decipher, a lot of choices have to be made really, really quickly. That impacts your game for the long term almost too quick. However, there are some things I do like about it, and some things I don't understand what the hell, like I just said about the sorcerer bloodline. Basically, if you're used to a D20 system, most of that's not going to change. You're going to have the same kind of dice rolls in principle. So it's not something that you're going to have a hard time picking up. I think it's a little bit more annoying, though, in some cases, because of the training aspect of all abilities. You have to have different training aspects for skills and in weapons and in class magic. It's weird, but I'll break it down to you as quickly as I can how I see second edition as I've been able to read it. Now, I haven't read through the whole book, and this is going to take very, very long amounts of time to figure out if I ever have more than 15 minutes with people right now. But I want to make it very clear that this is not a Dungeons and Dragons 5.0.2. This is a different kind of system, and for some cases, I think it actually works better. Now, the positives. I love the action economy. You have three basic actions. You don't have to use a move action and then a standard action. You can take two move actions and a standard, or a move action and two standards, or three moves or three standards. You get the idea. You can combine any one of those any way you see fit. So it's no longer move standard. You just have three actions total. I like this because now some people love movement. um, Basically, the more you can move on a turn, the better it is for you to get around opponents. So flanking can be done very easily. There are no more real attacks of opportunity unless you have a specific feat for it. I'll get to that in a moment. So it's got a good idea for flanking, great for melee. Um, I especially enjoy now you don't have to guess. Wait, is this a full round action or one action or standard? It tells you basically with the system, hey, this is a one action move ability or two action ability. You can see it right there and like, oh yeah, I know what it is now. Okay, cool. I do like the weapons. They super simplified them, and instead of wondering if you have a dwarven warhammer, now you got, oh, you just got a falchion that does something different. Axes now basically become cleave weapons. You don't have to learn cleave to cleave. Go figure. That's actually pretty brilliant. Some of those abilities actually make more sense because they're built into the weapon. I like that idea. The armor is not as important, but it's still there. There's not 500 different materials now. Not that I've seen. Yeah, there are some magical items, and it's still there. You're going to see all these crafting abilities and treasure. You get to see very cool stuff. I mean, you understand, hey, look, there's something for different kinds of runes and different kinds of items that you wouldn't have usually used, like medallions, swords. stuff like that. And you wouldn't usually have that, but it's in there for you to just, oh, cool, I can look at that up instead of having to guess how many gold is this, and oh, there's this, that, and have to have ultimate equipment. There's a lot of magical items in here that are pretty standard, but some go beyond normal. um I really like the simplification in some cases. I like how, hey, all of a sudden you've got a different kind of system. You get a system based on your race and then your class, but you also get a system based on your background. I actually like how you have to set up a narrative for the story, but it's a double-edged sword, and I'll get to that in a moment. How you actually have different characters now come with different locations. You can be a guard in an army or whatever. You can be a gladiator. You can be a farmhand. You can be some politician. It makes a lot more sense that way. Oh, but oh boy, I love how they put the lore in this. I mean, there's not all of it. It still seems like they're missing some pieces. But now you know, hey, what do they keep talking about in society? What is Absalom? Nobody really knows what Absalom is outside the Pathfinder Society. Now you know. Now you know what the Morongi Expanse is. You know how that works. You also know exactly what Cheliax is. Oh, okay, it's in here to actually tell you what the heck that does. That really is a good thing. They have a bit of lore, but it's not as fleshed out as I would want it to be. It's still a good basis. Now, I do not like a few things. Every class seems to have set in stone abilities that you have to keep taking in that path. It's not like, oh, okay, fighters now have 14 different ways to go about it. You can be a tank with a bastard sword and have dazzling display tree on the one end. If that doesn't work, you can go with vital strike on the other. No, it's pretty straightforward, a little bit too much. In fact, that's another deficit. Your race and your history matter a lot here. You now have to play as if everything you've come from has experience toward your first level character. For instance, just pulling up really quickly, like, hey, I'm a human. Okay, now I have half elf tendencies and half orc tendencies instead of them being divided into human and then half elf and then half orc. I don't really like that at all, realistically. It feels really stupid to me. Why would you have to do that? Why don't you just keep it in one piece and not have to deal with it in another five different ways? There are abilities that are dependent on your background. For instance, hey, you're a prisoner. Great. You now have self skills. Why? I don't know, but it's in there. I mean, this is another problem. That's a really thick book. I mean, that's 640 pages or so. That is a lot to read. I haven't had enough time to even get through a quarter of it. So it's a lot to take in. And it's really hard for beginners to really see into. I think that's the biggest problem with this book in general is that you're going to have a lot of time actually having to read it. And I don't know if it's really that much value for most players. For me, sure. Okay, I'll go ahead and spend 4 days trying to decipher what kind of class I would like to play. Magic is done differently. I don't know if it's done better or worse. Again, I don't have that much time. From what I see, it's kind of mixed. So maybe. I mean, there's so much you don't get that you had in first edition, but there's so much more you can do when in combat in second edition. So, do I recommend it? That's the biggest question. Well, it simplifies the math, true, but I think it oversimplifies some things. It makes it to where now you're locked into different pieces in the game, and I don't think that really helps a lot of people. It doesn't help me really expand on my abilities. I mean, as a fighter main back in first edition society, you get a feat every level. Okay, this is a feat here, this is a feat there. You can pretty much build up whatever you wanted to the point where you might not even use a lot of the feats. But still, I took Dazzling Display, Shadow Defenses, Deadly Stroke because I can. Here you have to use the feats that are set in you, so it's kind of hard. Of course, paladins are now called champions. That's a minor cosmetic deal. I can live without that. Um, I honestly gotta say, from what I've played, I like the combat a lot better. I like the system it's run on. I do not, however, like all the background details that are specifically woven to character creation. It doesn't make any sense to me to have to build a half elf based off a human, or that a goblin determines a little bit of your abilities, or what traits you can use, or skills you can use, or feats you can use. It doesn't make any sense that way. I mean, I know there are racial everythings, but it doesn't make sense to where you're locked into it because of your race. So, um, do I recommend it? I kind of do. If you want a faster, more re- m- mobile pace of combat, I recommend it. If you want to build characters based off a story, I would not recommend it if you're brand new. Totally don't know anything about D20s. This locks you into way too much stuff way too early. And if you're not ready for that kind of thing, you're going to get lost. So, on one end, I believe for the fighting, better. On the other end, I believe for character creation, worse. So, in closing, I bought this for, you can see the price right there. And I know it's a little bit, thanks to the light. Let's get that a little bit away from said light. And that's $60. So, yeah, as a PDF, I think it's like 20 or so. Low budget YouTubing. Woo. All right. So, sorry about that. Would I recommend it? Well, depending on what you would say by recommend. If you are, again, a veteran, absolutely, I would say download the PDF, see what you can get out of that, and it might be beneficial for you to do that. If you're a first timer, I don't really think you'll get into it from this point. It's easier, but easy does not mean better. 5th edition D&D was too easy for me. It just so simplistic. Now, simplistic RPGs can work. Tefra, very, very lesser known RPG, very simplistic, but it works. Made, very, very random, simplistic, but it works. By the way, shout out to Tokyo. I hope you did actually take my suggestion for the Made RPG. But would I suggest this for people who are looking for first timers? Probably not. You're probably better off with a lesser known, more simplistic RPG like one of those. Am I recommending it for hardcore Pathfinder fans? Absolutely. Guys like me, more in the middle, it's going to mileage vary for you. So I believe that it's just a bit overpriced for what you're going to be getting out of it. It's still not terrible, but it couldn't have been better. So definitely consider it if you're a big hardcore RPG fan. And speaking of RPG fans, there are a few things I want to stress before I get into my ending talk, because I do have something. I will have 3 upcoming conventions. The first one will be Dragon Con, Thursday, August 29th through Monday, September 2nd. Yes, it's a basically a 5-day convention now. It starts really on Thursday. The next one after that will be Delta H Con. That will be Friday, September 20th through Sunday, September 22nd. And then finally, the last one that I have scheduled for my year will be OniCon. That will be on Friday, November 8th through Sunday, November 10th. So, as much as I like to keep talking about gaming and all that, of course, you're very well aware of the news that happened this past Saturday of the mass shootings that happened in El Paso, Texas, and I believe it's Dayton, Ohio. There are no words I can say that will bring the families back that have been lost. And I'm not here trying to get emotional for the sake of getting emotional. I'm just thinking, you know what? These people suffer so much because of, let's be honest, maniacs. And this is not a talk about gun control. I'm not here telling you take the guns because that's not how it works. I'm saying that the people who did these heinous acts are pure evil. And I'm going to give them the law basis. They're innocent until proven guilty. I mean, in the age and days of social media, we can pretty much tell if you did something or not over the internet within 5 seconds. That's why I don't believe in the mainstream media being anything useful right now. And I'm not blaming the guns. This isn't a cry for more gun control because that doesn't make any sense. What we need to remember is it's sad. Tragedies like this happen, unfortunately. And don't make any mistake, it can happen with other weapons. It can happen with a knife. It can happen with a crowbar. Maybe not as massive destructive, but somebody who has violent tendencies is going to act out on it. And this isn't about gaming being too violent or lock them up because they were this. Guys, we need to fix the people first that have these issues. I'm not saying it's mental health. I'm not saying it's biblically pointed. I'm saying stop blaming the weapon. Stop saying the politicians need to do something. If you believe that someone is going to act on these violent impulses, tell somebody, tell the authorities. Don't go and say it's Trump's fault because he didn't do anything about gun control. That's not how this works. And also, in closing, yes, like, share, and subscribe my videos. Appreciate it. I just want to let the people who are affected by these tragedies know that my thoughts and prayers, particularly in the last few days, have been with you, and that those who have lost their lives may rest in peace. Later.